Good day, students. How is everyone today? Okay, very good. That's nice to hear. So now we have a discussion. It's regards to the revised Bloom's taxonomy. Does anyone here have an idea of what is revised Bloom's taxonomy? No one? Alright. So now, before I'll start the discussion, I want everyone to mute their each phone so that to avoid noises. And if you have any clarifications or questions, just tell me. Just click that raise your hand button if you have any concerns. Okay. All right. So now I'll be discussing the revised Bloom's taxonomy. So what do we mean if we say revised Bloom's taxonomy? So revised Bloom's taxonomy, it is an update of the original Bloom's taxonomy, a framework for categorizing educational goals established by Benjamin Bloom in the 1950s. The revision proposed by Anderson and Krathwohl in 2001, so reflects changes in educational theory and practice over the years. So I'll be discussing the three levels of domain in revised Bloom's taxonomy. So the first level is the cognitive domain, the second is the psychomotor domain, and the third is the affective domain. So I'll first discuss what does it mean when we say cognitive domain. So cognitive domain, it is focused on intellectual skills such as critical thinking skills, problem solving, and creating a knowledge base. It was the first domain created by the original group of Bloom's researchers. So I have here, and also that cognitive hierarchy extends from simple memorization designed to build the knowledge of learners to creating something new based on previously learned information. So in this domain, learners are expected to progress in a linear manner. So beginning at remember and ending at create. So I have here the cognitive hierarchy. As you can see, the top of the said hierarchy is the creating, and the bottom or the base is remembering. So we will discuss each of this part in cognitive hierarchy. What are these? And how we are going to attain this. So first is the remember. So in remember, remember the names and relationship of a cast of a characters in a play. So that is one of the sample learning outcome, because you are going to formulate a lesson plan. So you need to have a learning outcome. What are the goals or what are the objectives you need to achieve of the learners? So here the sample is this sample of this is a multiple choice test design to test the memory of the learners. So in remembering, you're going to remember the past learnings that you learned from your respective year level. So it is where it starts to recall all the memories, the knowledge that you've got. The second is the understanding. So the sample learning outcome here is understand and explain the main ideas of a play or a piece of literature. So here understanding the context of what is being mean. So you need to read and analyze or think so that you can understand what is meant. Example, write an advice column. Write a short paper, one-page paper summarizing the plot and most important events in the play. So that is what mean if we are going to discuss the understanding. The next is applying. So the sample learning outcome here is apply the main ideas, themes in the play to another context. It is where you're going to apply what you have understand on that specific context. So it is transferring the knowledge to have a something that the learners could create or to measure how far they understand the context or the literature that they're going to read. So next is analyzing. So in analyzing, the sample learning outcome is be able to analyze the relative roles of each character in the play and the relationship to each other. So this we're going to they're going to see and analyze, compare, and contrast. That is the verb term to use for this. So sample assessment is write an analytical paper comparing the antagonist and the protagonist of the play. So that's it. The second to the top is evaluating. So in evaluating, the simple learning outcome here is evaluate the decision of characters in the play and support your evaluation with a textual evidence. So the sample activity is write a response to the events in the play, either supporting or rejecting their actions on the basis of the evidence from the play, as well as the personal opinion and projected actual consequences of the action. And the top of this cognitive hierarchy is the creating. It is where the students were able to create their own understanding based on the context or the literature that they're going to read. So it is where to develop the what do we call this one? Critical thinking skills, because they can able to have an independent activity or outcome based on what they have understood on that specific activity. So you can put a sample learning outcome. For example, create a new and unique piece of writing using similar plot devices. So sample assessment here is create a short story using similar plot devices and use new time or setting. So as what I've said earlier, that is going to transferring all the knowledge that the students or learners understand. So that is the cognitive domain. The second level of domain is psychomotor domain. Psychomotor domain encompasses the ability of the learners to physically accomplish tasks and perform movements and skills. So in psychomotor, there are several different versions, including the different hierarchies. There are examples here. The examples here is fall into Harrow's 1972 theory, which is the psychomotor domain. This hierarchy ranges from reflexes and basic movements to non-discursive communication and meaningful expressive activity. So these are the psychomotor hierarchy in this level of domain. First, reflex, basic fundamental movements, perceptual activities, physical abilities, skilled movement, and non-discursive communication. So we are going to discuss each one by one, and I'll give this one of the sample learning outcome so that you can have an idea to write in the future of what sample learning outcome might be pair, or like what do we call this, to pair to have a perfect sample learning outcome of what is your goal in making a lesson plan, especially when it comes to psychomotor. So in reflex, the sample learning outcome here is instinctively respond to a physical stimulus. So for example, assessment, a game of dodgeball. The basic fundamental movements, the sample learning outcome here is perform a simple action, including running and throwing. So it is where the students can develop psychomotor, like from transferring one setting to another setting. So example, a game of catch or soccer. So physical abilities. So sample learning outcome here is sustain an activity for a set period of time. Example of the activity here is run for 25 minutes steadily. Next is skilled movements. So in sample learning outcome here is adapt one's behavior and movement to better achieve goals. Sample assessment here is a soccer or other strategic game. So next is the skilled moments. That is skilled moments. Adapt one's behavior and movement to better goals. Next is the non-discursive communication. In here, the sample learning outcome is express oneself through purposeful movement and activity. So the sample assessment is also a soccer or other strategic game. So the rationale of these games are involved teamwork, strategy, integrative movement So successful teams must integrate all their senses, communication, and movement, and use a variety of adaptive strategies. So the last domain here is the affective domain. So what does it mean when we say affective domain? So in affective domain, it is the focuses on the attitudes, values, interest, and appreciation of learners. So in the other hand, the hierarchy associated with it begins with receiving and listening to information and extends to characterization or internalizing values and acting upon them. It focuses on helping learners understand what their own values and how they have developed. So I have here the hierarchy of the affective domain. The bottom is the receiving and the top is the characterization. We'll have to focus here the sample learning outcome because you'll be able to create a lesson plan in which this may be helpful for you to create the objective or the goals of what do you intend to get or to achieve by the learners at the end of your discussion. Sample learning outcome: listen to other students with respect. The responding is speak effectively in front of an audience and active respond. The valuing: demonstrate and explain own values regarding various topics. So organization: compare value system and understand evidence behind. Characterization is work well in a team of peers. So it doesn't mean that it has a bottom or top. You need to skip those other parts of the hierarchy. No, you cannot attain or develop the top one if you cannot undergo or experience the different parts of that hierarchy. Always remember that it cannot be built. You cannot get any of this what the quote unquote critical thinking if you are going to skip these the parts or in the hierarchy that you saw on that slide. So you need to develop, if you want to develop critical thinking skills, so you need to see and take every step of this hierarchy. And I hope that you learned a new knowledge of this topic, and see you on next video.